This is Jenkins Farms.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Jenkins with Jenkins Farms. Well, you can tell this isn't our typical video. We're not standing out in the middle of the field or not looking at a cool piece of farm equipment or tractor, peanut picker, cotton picker, spraying. We're not doing anything very fun. You can tell probably, maybe you can tell, that we're sitting in my office today. It's coming a hurricane. We live in the very far northwestern Florida panhandle. Hurricanes they don't happen every day, but they're a way of life. We're threatened by them every year. We do have them every so often, so we've been through this kind of thing before. Hurricane Sally is bearing down on us. We're in the bullseye now. It's just a Category 1. It's nothing to get too excited about. On the part to get excited about is this one is moving very, very slow, so they're expecting a whole lot of rain. And honestly, I can deal with a whole lot of rain better than I can deal with the rain and the wind. So maybe it won't be as bad as they're saying. But the reason I'm doing this video, and please don't give up on me. This isn't, like I said, this isn't a normal video. Usually we're out and I'm actually showing you something. But today is just going to be a little bit of talking. I've had a lot of people asking about what happens when a hurricane comes to your farm. Are you going to lose your crops? Is there anything you can do to help mitigate the risk? Do you have crop insurance? How does that work? Those types of questions. So I thought I'd just kind of go through it real quick and make a little video, and maybe it'd be beneficial to somebody. And if you're like me, stuck inside during the hurricane, if you have cell service, you'll probably be watching some of these videos because you're going to be bored out of your mind. But anyway, here we go. We'll talk about it. It's peanut season here. It's the very beginning of peanut season in our area. A few of the farmers dug last week. We didn't on our farm. Ours were, well, I'm going to explain to you why we didn't. So several of them dug peanuts. We worked really hard over the weekend trying to pick peanuts. We went and helped some of our friends out with our machines since we didn't have any dug yet, and eventually got rained out. You know, it was a slow go. They were very tough. The vines were very tough, and the machines don't like them when they're high moisture like that. So it was a slow go. We did all we could do, and now, you know, they're saying we could get 10 to 20 inches of rain. That's going to be a problem. We don't need that much rain, but we will take it. So what do we do when a storm's coming? That's one benefit of a hurricane over, say, a tornado. Tornadoes kind of just spin up sporadically. It's very fast. You don't have much of a warning. With a hurricane, you have, you know, I've never averaged it, but we probably always have about a week's notice that at least something's out there spinning around, and we're starting to watch it. And, you know, the long-range models will kind of give you a general idea of where it's going, but you know, if it's coming into the Gulf of Mexico, then we treat it like we're going to get hit. Once it gets in the Gulf, you never know where it's going to go, but so we treat it like it's going to be a direct hit for us. One thing about peanuts are when they get to the end of their life cycle, their lifespan, the leaves give way. There's all kinds of diseases that get in them. The leaves will begin to fall off. And once the leaves fall off, well, the peanuts underneath fall off shortly thereafter. So it's very important that you dig them on time to maximize your yield. So you have to think about that, and just a few days make a big difference on how many peanuts will fall off the vine when you dig them. So that's something that has to be looked at when you think a storm might be coming. You need to decide: am I going to dig now and get them on top of the ground and potentially get them picked before the storm comes? Am I going to dig now, let them stay on top of the ground while the storm comes, or am I going to leave them in the ground? That's kind of your three choices. So what you have to look look at is, like, for instance, we decided not to dig ours. Our vines were real pretty, very little disease. So I anticipated that it's going to be a week from start of the storm, start of the rain, until I'm able to get a digger in the field. The first fields that we have to dig are very sandy. So I think probably even if we get 20 inches of rain, I think within 7 days from when it started, that I'll be able to get in the field and begin the digging process. So that was our choice. The worst case scenario is that you dig them, they dry out before the storm, and where they're ready to be picked, they're ready to be harvested, and then the storm comes and it rains all week. Well, then your vines are rotting, and they will become basically attached to the soil. So you'll have to run a machine under them of some kind. They have reshakers, they have plows that you can run under them. There's all different ways you can do it. But you're going to have to run something under them to be able to pick them again. And when that happens, it's a problem. I mean, you start losing yield. You cannot, every time you touch those peanuts or move those peanuts, some fall off. So the worst case scenario is you dig a few days before the storm, and then like us, helping our buddy pick this weekend, we didn't quite get finished. So his were dry and ready to be harvested before the rain started, and now we're going to have to deal with those once it dries up. If you do it just right, you can dig them, a day before the rain starts, and if it keeps raining all along, those vines will stay just as green as they were when they were in the ground. That's not a problem. You'll probably still have to run a reshaker or a plow under them to get them loosened up from the soil so that the header on the picker can pick them up. But that will, since they stay green and the vines haven't actually started rotting, then it's not nearly the problem. So you can see there's a pretty big decision that goes into how to mitigate your risk as far as peanuts are when a storm's coming. As far as timing of this storm, it's probably hitting us at about the best time for our peanuts and our cotton, since it is the beginning of harvest season. And as harvest season rocks on, those vines are getting older and worse, and they're giving way a lot more. So maybe we're going to lose the least amount possible due to the timing of when this thing's hitting. Another thing is these heavy rainfall events at harvest time or right near harvest time. They can cause alpha toxin in your peanuts, which is a very bad thing. The amount of money that you get paid, that's something they find out when they sample them and grade them at the buying point. If they have alpha toxin in them, they're not good to be used in a lot of things. It kind of limits what they can be used for. So the price that you get paid for those peanuts goes down drastically. But hopefully we've had a very good growing season here in our area. So hopefully the alpha toxin won't be much of an issue for us this year. Moving on to cotton. In our area, the cotton is, the oldest cotton is beginning to open now. I would say, some of it's up to 50% open, some of the oldest cotton. So this rain, every time it rains on open cotton, it decreases the amount of lint that you're going to yield, and it also decreases your grade. It stains it and makes the color bad. There are all different ways that you're graded on your cotton, but color is a big part of it, and every time it rains, it messes it up. So 10 inches or 20 inches of rain on that open cotton is not going to be good for it in many ways. And one problem where it's a long, drawn-out rain event like this, the open cotton, the seed that's inside there will sprout. And once those seeds have sprouted, they're very soft, and it's very hard for it to go through the ginning process. So even if you are able to pick it and get it, to the gin, they can't efficiently gin that cotton, and you're going to lose some yield there, as well as it's going to be stained and ugly, and they'll have to make mops out of it. So it's not a good thing. The other part is the wind. The wind, obviously, it won't hurt the peanuts so much because they're in the ground, but the wind will blow the cotton over and blow it down, and we call that lodging. It'll lodge it. So even on the bolls that are not open yet, they will, if they're in contact with the ground because the plant blew over and is laying on the ground, those bolls will rot off. And sometimes they'll rot even from just a big rain event like this, or they'll hard lock, which means the lint won't fluff out and be something that's usable. It'll just be very hard, and most of that never gets in the picker anyway because the spindles can't catch it. It's so hard instead of being fluffy, and the spindles won't pick it and get it into the picker. So there again, timing is everything. If this storm were hitting us a month from now, it would affect the peanuts more and definitely affect the cotton more. A month from now, we'll be getting close to done with peanuts, but the cotton would take a much bigger hit because most of it would be open and defoliated. That's another thing. None of our fields have been defoliated yet, so they still have the leaves on them, and the leaves kind of act as a little umbrella and keep some of the hard rain from knocking the lint out onto the ground, as well as the wind blowing it around and knocking it onto the ground. So timing's everything. While it's bad, it could be worse. We'll take it. If we got to have one, let's have it now. Let's have it this way. Let's don't have a category 3 or 4 or 5. Let's have a category 1. Let's get some rain and a little bit of wind and get it over with and get in the field, and let's have a good harvest season from here on out. The other thing that people have been asking me a lot about is, well, they see this storm coming and they automatically say, or they automatically think, we got insurance, so it's no big deal, right? I mean, insurance will take care of it, right? Well, insurance is a big old mess, I'm just going to tell you. We never want to have to use insurance. You never, ever, ever, ever come out using insurance. It never makes you whole. The best way let me explain a little bit how it works. Each commodity has a yield that's associated with it. So they take your average yield on your farm for the last 10 years, and they average that together. And for this video, we're just going to say, let's say that we have a yield of 1,000 pounds on our cotton. All right. Well, you buy insurance in percentages. So, like, for example, on our farm, we buy 70% coverage. So that's saying, basically, and it's very complicated, but this is basically, that's saying that if we have 1,000 pound average and we buy 70% insurance, then they're going to cover us for 700 pounds. So basically, we're guaranteed to make 700 pounds with or without our insurance, if that makes sense. So if a storm comes or we have a drought and say we only make 500 pounds, well, they're going to pay us for 200 more pounds at a known price, and that'll be the check that they give us after they take our whatever premium or whatever it's called out of it. So 700 pounds doesn't pay the bills. It's better than 0 pounds if you had a complete failure, but you're much better off to have a good crop. This was going to be one of our best cotton crops that I think I've made since I've been farming. Been always trying to think of a way that I could explain it to people so that maybe they'd understand it better. And so far, the best analogy I've come up with is, suppose you have a real nice show car, Mustang, whatever, old Mustang that you fixed up. And you've put all this money in it, and you've made it as nice as you can possibly make it. Can't do one more thing to it. It looks great. It's beautiful. It's going to win shows. And you're driving it to a show and you get in a wreck. Mess it all up. Total it. Insurance comes and says, Well, here's what we'll do. We're going to fix your car and make it where you can drive it again. And that's all they do. They make it where you can drive it again, but they don't fix any dents in the sheet metal. They don't put new windshields in it. They don't put a new grill in it. They don't repaint it. They just fix it so you can drive it again. And that's their part of it. Even though you've done all this stuff and made it much nicer than it's ever been before in its life, you see where I'm getting at? It will not make you whole. So, and then this year they came out with a new hurricane coverage insurance that will actually cover the gap. It's another price you have to pay, but it'll cover the gap from our 70% up to 95%. If a hurricane hits our county or an adjoining county. And we did get that, so we'll see if that works. But if you don't have hurricane force winds in your county or in those adjoining counties, you can still have a lot of the bad part of the hurricane without having that, enough that it messes you up and you won't trigger that payment. But anyway, it's very complicated. It almost takes a degree to know what to do with it all. I won't take up any more of your time. I hope the next video I show you, we're digging peanuts and I'm explaining to you about that process, and then after that we'll be picking peanuts, and before long we'll be picking cotton. So we have some more good videos coming, but just kind of want to give you a little more in-depth idea of what happens when a hurricane comes to visit your farm in the Florida Panhandle. So just say a little prayer for us that it won't be as bad as they're talking about, and as always, we're very thankful for what we have, and we're very blessed people. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends and neighbors about it. And if I can do anything for you, send me a comment. If you have some questions or concerns, just send me a comment, and I'll respond to them. Thank you for watching. See you soon.